نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. From lesson 10 to lesson 25, we covered all the phrases and different construction to make incomplete sentences. In this lesson, we would be talking about nominal sentences. A nominal sentence is a complete sentence made of nouns. In the previous lesson, we have covered the theory related to example 1 to 4 shown here. This shows a relationship between the two nouns where one describes another, and we cover this in Murakkab Tawsifi or descriptive phrase. This sentence shows that one noun owns another. Therefore, there is an ownership or belonging relationship. We cover these phrases in ownership in a discussion of Murakkab Idafi or genitive phrase. In this third sentence, a noun is pointing toward another noun. This relationship is covered in Murakkab Ishari or demonstrative phrase. In this fourth example, a preposition particle is used to build a phrase, and we cover this in a discussion of Murakkab Ijari or preposition phrase. There's one thing in common in all these four sentences, that they all do not make a complete sense, or full sense is not communicated to the listener or a reader. Phrases that do not make a complete sense are called as Murakkab Naqis or incomplete phrase. In the fifth and last example, the phrase makes a complete sense, where Ism Ishara or demonstrative pronouns is used to point to a boy. Phrases with a complete sense are categorized as Murakkab Tam or complete phrases. A complete phrase where only nouns are used is called as Jumla Ismiya or nominal sentence. A nominal sentence is therefore a sentence with nouns, and the nouns are related in an order. Let's take a simple sentence. The boy is righteous. We can split this simple sentence by keeping is in the middle. So the sentence has two parts. Within this whole sentence, something is said about the boy. Since we are saying something about the boy, in English, the person or things talked about is called as subject. So in this simple sentence, the subject is the boy, and it is at the start or the beginning of the sentence. The second part is giving information or news about the subject, which in this case is righteous. This information or news is called as predicate in English. In Arabic, starting or beginning of something is ibtida. Since the sentence starts with the subject, therefore it is called as mubtada. And the last part is the information or news about the mubtada. In Arabic, this news is called as khabar. You know that Arabic is written from right to left. Therefore, in Arabic nominal sentence, mubtada will be first, followed by khabar. In order to build a nominal sentence for boy is righteous, we need to know the vocabulary. For the boy, we use waladun, and for righteous, we use salihun. In order to construct a nominal sentence, 5 rules need to be followed. Rule number 1. Subject is followed by predicate. So in Arabic, from right to left, we can write waladun first, followed by salihun. The arrow shows the direction of English sentence flow. Arabic and the English sentence flow matches here. You can see that in English, the boy is written first, followed by righteous. The second rule is that mostly subject is definite. Therefore, if the noun is not definite, then we need to add al at the beginning of the subject. When al is added to the noun, it will become al-waladu, and the double vibration would change to a single. Third rule is that mostly predicate is indefinite. Therefore, in our case, the salihun would stay as it is. The fourth rule is that both subject and predicate are in nominative case. We can see here that both are in nominative case. The fifth and the final rule is that predicate follows subject, gender, and number. For this final rule, let's check the gender and the number of, so that we can change the gender of salihun accordingly. A is masculine and it is a singular. Therefore, salihun should be masculine and singular. We can see that salihun is masculine and singular because the feminine of salihun is salihatun and its plural is salihuna. So our final sentence is, remember there is no is in the Arabic sentence. This pattern of sentence produces the sense of is within Arabic sentence. Let's compare this newly constructed phrase, which is giving a complete sense, with an incomplete phrase. An incomplete phrase is al-waladu salihu. Just by looking at the face of two sentences, there is not much difference that you can tell. However, closely observing them will reveal four differences. The first difference is that the word salihun is with al in the incomplete sentence. The second difference is that the last letter has double vibration. The final couple of differences cannot be observed from the words. The third difference is salihun is used as nouns or explanation, while in the incomplete phrase it is used as an adjective. The final and the fourth difference is that in complete sentence, word salihun follows only two aspects, number and gender of the subject, while in case of incomplete sentence, it has to follow all four aspects, number, gender, accident, and case of the al-waladu. We'll be looking at 5 examples by constructing different nominal sentences. In all the examples, we will keep the vocabulary simple so that you get the hang of it by applying all these rules. Our first example is feminine singular noun, girls is righteous. For righteous we use salihun, for girls we use bintun. We will now apply these 5 rules. Therefore, by starting from rule 1, subject is followed by predicate. We can write the sentence in the flow of English sentence by keeping the subject first followed by the predicate. Rule number 2. Mostly subject is definite. We can make bintun definite by adding al onto it. This makes the subject as al-bintu. As a general rule, whenever al is added, the double vibration reduces to single. Rule 3. Predicate should be indefinite, so salihun is left as it is. Rule 4. Both should be in rafa case. Nothing will change because they already are in rafa case. Rule number 5. The predicate should follow the gender and number of the subject. Let's find out the gender and the number of the subject al-bintu. Al-bintu is feminine, it is singular. Therefore, predicate salihun should be changed to feminine and singular. The feminine of salihun is salihatun and it is already singular, so there is no change in number. The final sentence will become then al-bintu salihatun. This example is about a dual masculine. For righteous we use salihun. For 2 boys we use waladani. When the first rule applies, we will get waladani salihun. According to second rule, we can make the subject definite by adding al with it. Therefore, it will become al-waladani. Third rule cannot be applied because the predicate is already indefinite. Also, the fourth rule will not apply because both the subject and predicates are already in nominative case. To apply the fifth rule, we can change the gender and number. Al-waladani is masculine and in dual form. Salihun is to follow. Salihun is already masculine, therefore we need to change its number to dual. The dual case of salihun is salihani. The final sentence would become then al-waladani salihani. This example is about a dual feminine. For righteous we use salihun. For 2 both girls we use bintani. When the first rule applies, we will get bintani salihun. The second rule would change bintani to al-bintani. Third rule and the fourth rule do not apply because they are already in the required states. To apply the fifth rule, we can check the gender and number of al-bintani. Al-bintani is feminine and it is in the dual form. So salihun is to follow. So therefore, the dual form of feminine case of salihun is salihatani. The final sentence would become al-bintani salihatani. The fourth example is about a masculine plural. For righteous we use salihun. For 3 or more boys we use awladun. When the first rule applies, we will get awladun salihun. The second rule would change awladun to al-awladu. Third rule and fourth rule do not apply because they are already in the required states. For fifth rule, awladu is masculine and it is in plural form. The plural and masculine case of salihun is salihuna. The final construction is therefore then Al-awladu salihuna. The example is about a feminine plural. For righteous we use salihun. For 3 or more girls we use banatun. When the first rule applies, we will get banatun salihun. The second rule would change banatun to al-banatu. Third rule and fourth rule do not apply. For fifth rule, al-banatu is feminine and in plural form, salihun is to follow. The plural and feminine case of salihun is salihatun. The final sentence becomes then al-banatu salihatun. In the next slide, we will be applying whatever we learned. So our first sentence is Allah is merciful. For merciful, we use Rahimun, and for Allah, we use Allahu. The sentence was become Allahu Rahimun. Remember, we are not associating any gender with the word Allah, but all the languages use pronoun He for Allah and masculine is referred. Therefore, for the sake of language, we will take Allahu as masculine. And since Allah is the only one, therefore it is singular. There will be no further changes in the sentence. Therefore, the final sentence would become Allahu Rahimun. Second sentence is Muhammad is a messenger. For a messenger, we use Rasulun. For the name of Muhammad, we will use Muhammadun. The sentence will become then Muhammadun Rasulun. Since Muhammad in this case is a known person, a prophet, therefore it does not require al to be added to make it definite noun. Muhammadun is masculine and singular. Rasulun follow the masculine and singular form. Therefore the final sentence would become Muhammadun Rasulun. We have 2 sentences here. The first one is Quran is truth. For truth we use Haqqun, and for Quran we use Al-Quranun. The sentences will become Al-Qur'anu Haqqun. Al-Qur'anu is taken as masculine and singular. Therefore, there will be no further change in the sentence. The final sentence would become Al-Qur'anu Haqqun. In the next sentence, mosque is wide. Wasi'un is used for wide. And for mosque, we use Masjidun. We can write then Masjidun as Al-Masjidu and then join it with Wasi'un. Al-Masjidu is a masculine one and singular. So therefore the final sentence would become Al-Masjidu Wasi'un. In the rest of the practice sentences, we will take some extra step away so that you can make the construction fast. Our first sentence is Earth is wide. For wide we use Wasi'un, and for earth we would use Al-Ardu. It is a feminine noun. Therefore Wasi'un would become Wasi'atun. Hence the final sentence would be then Al-Ardu Wasi'atun. The second sentence is room is big. For big we use Kabirun. For room we use Al-Ghurfatun. It is a feminine noun, therefore Kabirun would become Kabiratun. Hence the final sentence would become Al-Ghurfatu Kabiratun. Third sentence is both boys are true. For true we use Sadiqun. For boys we use Al-Waladani because they are both boys, 2 boys. Therefore the Sadiqun has to change to Sadiqani. Therefore our final sentence would become Al-Waladani Sadiqani. The fourth sentence is that the hypocrites are liars. For hypocrites we use Al-Munafiquna. For liar we would use Kadhibun. Since Al-Munafiquna is plural, therefore Kadhibun would become then Kadhibuna. Hence the final sentence is Al-Munafiquna Kadhibuna. In these final practice examples, further steps will be cut down in the sentence constructions. In the first 2 examples, the plurals are broken plurals of conscious beings, while in the last 2 examples, the subjects are broken plurals of non-conscious being. As a rule, if subject is broken plural, then we can use predicate as feminine plural. Therefore, in these last 2 examples, we will be using feminine plural of the predicates. The first example is women are righteous. For righteous we use salihun. For women we use an-nisa'u. Therefore the final would become an-nisa'u salihatun. The second example is men are righteous. For righteous we use salihun. For men we use ar-rijalu. Therefore, the final sentence would become Ar-Rijalu Salihun. The third example is where for new we can use Jadidun is a broken plural of non-conscious being. Therefore, Jadidun would become Jadidatun. So your final sentence would become then Al-Aqlamu Jadidatun. Or fourth and the last example is books are old. For old we use Qadimun. For books we use Al-Kutubu. This is a broken plural of non-conscious being. Therefore, Qadimun would become Qadimatun and the predicate. Hence the final sentence become Al-Kutubu Qadimatun. In this lesson we covered nominal sentences and the rules that needed for their construction. We look at different examples and gone through some practice. In the next lesson, instead of nouns, we will be using pronouns. So inshallah, I would see you there then. Subhanahu wa bihamdihi subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati wa hasanatan wa qina adhabun nar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.